you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
The Simpsons is known for having predicted many shocking real-life events. So, are they psychic? How do they know this stuff? Get ready to be totally confused and a little freaked out by all the events they knew about before they happened. Let's go.
The world will end next week! Spend your children's college fund! Thaw that turkey now!
Number 1. Who could have predicted President Trump? While none of us could, The Simpsons somehow did. Back in 2000, an episode showed adult Lisa Simpson taking over the White House for none other than Donald Trump.
Oh, hi Bob, come on in.
Of course, 16 years later, this very unlikely individual would in fact become president. We now know that Lisa Simpson did not follow him into the White House, but it's still pretty baffling that they even thought of this. Number 2. Game of Thrones was known for plot twists, but they were no surprise for Simpsons fans. 2 years before the finale of Game of Thrones aired, an episode of The Simpsons showed a dragon setting an entire town on fire. This looks exactly like what happened at the end of Game of Thrones, right down to the details. Interestingly, the Game of Thrones creators always knew that the series would end this way, but they maintain that they have no idea how the Simpsons creators could have figured it out.
Look, the dragon is burning our village!
Number 3. Betting on Nobel Prize winners? Call up the Simpsons writers for some tips. Or would that be considered insider trading? In the first episode of Season 22, which aired back in 2010, Milhouse has a Nobel Prize winner betting pool. He predicts that Bengt Holmstrom will win the prize, and in 2016, Holmstrom took home the Nobel Prize for Economics. This one could be less about psychic visions and more about having a wider knowledge of economic theorists than we expect from cartoon characters. But that doesn't mean we're convinced. Number 4. FaceTime may not be as new as we think it is. Back in 1995, a Season 6 episode showed Lisa visiting a psychic. Isn't that suspicious? The psychic showed her a vision of the future in which Lisa was video chatting with her mom using what they called a picture phone.
Mom, it's a picture phone. This?
If you don't remember, this was totally unheard of in 1995. In fact, it didn't actually happen until 2010. Maybe someone working on The Simpsons was moonlighting at Apple. Number 5. The Ebola outbreak may have happened on The Simpsons before it did IRL. In 1997, an episode featured Bart getting sick and staying home from school, at which time Marge reads him a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. We then proceed to see a rather disturbing drawing that Bart drew that features him seemingly unalived and the word sad. The US Ebola outbreak occurred 17 years later in 2014. Number 6. Simpsons fans heard about the FIFA arrests early. FIFA officials were indicted in 2015 for numerous claims, and this happened on The Simpsons just a year prior in 2014. And if that wasn't enough, this episode even predicted that Germany would beat Brazil in the World Cup final that year, and they did. Wow, these people are good. Number 7. Where have we seen that three-eyed fish before? Way back in Season 2, Episode 3, Bart catches a three-eyed fish next to a nuclear power plant. Pretty bizarre storyline, right? Well, 2 decades later, a fisherman in Argentina actually caught a three-eyed fish, and it actually was next to a nuclear power plant. Number 8. Did you know Homer Simpson discovered the Higgs boson? It's crazy, but true. In the second episode of Season 10, which aired back in 1998, Homer discovered a complicated equation. This equation actually solves the mass of the Higgs boson. When did everyone else discover the Higgs boson? Not until 2012. So what exactly does this mean? It means that Homer Simpson is a scientific genius. Maybe he should be the one to get the Nobel Prize next. Number 9. It seems that Greece's economy has no surprises for the Simpsons writers. The show predicted Greece's 2015 debt default 3 years before it happened, and it's not even a big part of the episode. It appeared on the ticker going across the bottom of a TV screen. Number 10. It seems like the Simpsons knew just what The Mandalorian would be like. The Mandalorian has been praised for being an addition to the Star Wars franchise that harkens back to what Star Wars originally was. Well, years before this series came to be, The Simpsons featured Randall Curtis, a version of George Lucas, who talked about how his newest Star Wars project would get back to his roots.
Plots and characters lifted from westerns and samurai films.
Number 11. The Simpsons may know more about Lady Gaga's future than she does. In 2012, they portrayed Lady Gaga descending from the ceiling while performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. In 2017, she did just that. Hey, maybe Lady Gaga's just a major Simpsons fan and thought they had some good ideas. She wasn't wrong.
We're stopping in Springfield.
But-
No buts.
Number 12. That was one eerie Siegfried and Roy prediction. We all remember Siegfried and Roy's tragic tiger attack. Well, this was a Simpsons plotline a decade before it really occurred. In this episode that aired in '93, two fictionalized versions of the stars, Gunther and Ernst's show ends after they are attacked by a tiger. In 2013, Siegfried and Roy's actual show ended after Roy Horn was attacked by a tiger. Scary? Absolutely. But when we really think about it, maybe predicting that someone who trains tigers for a living will get attacked by a tiger isn't the most surprising prophecy. Number 13. What did The Simpsons know about the Disney and Fox deal? In an episode in 1998, a sign on the Fox studio lot calls 20th Century Fox a division of Walt Disney Co. What happened in 2017? You guessed it, Disney bought Fox. Sure, Disney ends up buying mostly everything in the entertainment world, but they really called this one way ahead of time. Number 14. Did The Simpsons know about 9/11 before it happened? The short answer, probably not. But we are pretty creeped out by this anyway. Back in 1997, an episode aired that showed this ad. Yes, it's advertising $9 bus tickets to New York, but it also sure looks like it says New York 9/11 with the Twin Towers. This is probably a coincidence and not a reference to the tragedy that would happen 4 years later. But with all of these signs pointing to psychic Simpsons writers, we're starting to worry that even the World Trade Center attacks were subtly predicted in 1997. Number 15. Yep, they even knew about COVID.
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu.
Really wish they could have warned us about this one. The Simpsons predicted the outbreak of a disease like COVID years before it really occurred, but it goes a step further than that. While people in this episode are panicking for a cure, many of them ignore public health advice, refuse to socially distance themselves or wear masks, and even act superior about not being affected by the virus. Yep, that sounds about right. Number 16. Do you remember the murder hornets of 2020? Yep, as it turns out, the global pandemic wasn't the only shocking prediction The Simpsons got right about 2020. In real life, these insects were spotted in the US, which posed a major threat to our ecosystem. Yes, this happened at the worst possible time, amidst the pandemic. As for The Simpsons, amidst their pandemic, a box of killer bees was knocked over and they were all released. Number 17. The Simpsons knew what would happen with Beatles fan mail? This one's not quite as heavy and totally world-changing as the last ones, but it's definitely just as odd. Back in 1991, an episode aired in which Ringo Starr responds to a piece of fan mail decades after he received it.
They took the time to write me, and I don't care if it takes me another 20 years.
In 2013, two women received a letter from Paul McCartney over 50 years after they sent him fan mail. So how did the Simpsons writers know that the Beatles are shockingly slow to respond to mail? Maybe they sent them something and we're just holding out hope many years later. Don't worry, Paul will probably get back to you in a decade. It can't all be a coincidence, can it? What do you think about all the Simpsons' wild predictions? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you love videos like this one, make sure to like and subscribe to The Things Animated for all the latest on your animated favorites.